coach David Richman with student athletes Vinny Shahid, Jordan Horn, and Tyson Ward. Same as we've been doing, we'll have an opening statement from coach, followed by questions directed for our student athletes, and then we will then allow them to be released and then redirect questions to coach at that point.
Thank you. Obviously, Salwai Duke was the #1 overall seed there, especially in that second half. And they get out in transition like that and turn you over. They're elite, and that's an exceptional team. And it was a pleasure to coach against Coach K and for our guys to compete in that environment. But more so than anything, what our guys accomplished in the last 3 weeks in particular and over the last 6 weeks is tremendous. But that doesn't come close to what I'm really proud of. What I'm really proud of is how they did it. And we talked a lot about representing a school, a community, a fan base, a state the right way. And to me, these guys did it. And again, we talk in our program, a how is way greater than a what. And our guys, how they attacked this, how they stayed the course from a group that was 2-7 at one point was just an absolute pleasure to be around. So appreciate it. This is a great opportunity. Our guys stayed in the moment. I asked them, in the locker room to stay in the moment for 1 more minute and challenge them to what are they going to sacrifice to put ourselves in a position where we can be right back here next year.
First question for the student athletes here on the right side, row 4. Left side, row 4.
Nolan Schmidt, Bison Illustrated. Vinny, Coach K just called you a dominant leader. What does that mean, hearing that from a coach of his stature?
It means a lot. A lot of it has to do with what my teammates do. They give me confidence. They trust me with the ball. But it means a lot to hear that.
Stay here on the right side. Just go back to back, both of you.
Jeff Kopak, The Forum. Vinny, I think you know Trey for a while now. What was it like battling it out with him?
It was very exciting. You grow up with somebody playing on the same team as them, and then you compete with them against high school, and then you see them on the biggest stage there is in college basketball and March Madness. It's very exciting.
Mike McFeely from The Forum in Fargo. Tyson and Vinny, the stretch that Zion had at the start of the second half was something else. Have you guys ever seen anything like that? And how would you describe what happened there with him going off there?
To be honest with you, game just went by in a flash, so I can't really tell you what really happened in certain points in time. But he went on a stretch where he got some rebounds and he does what he does and makes him a good player.
Yeah, he's a really good player. He capitalized in transition and on the offensive boards, and he's finishing around the rim. Probably one of the best athletes I've ever seen with my own eyes, but he's a really great player.
Left side.
A question for any of the players. Coach mentioned a minute ago, guys, taking a moment in the locker room to think about what you want to accomplish and get back here next year. What do you guys each take away from the last 3 weeks building toward the future?
Let's start with Vinny and then go down the row.
Coach just said it, staying in the moment a lot. If you go back to June, we had a lot of ups and downs throughout the season, starting in June and going 2-7 and then going 5-0 and then losing 3. A lot of it was just staying in the moment and learning and growing from those experiences.
I kind of have to agree with all Vinny said, kind of hit it on the nail, but we just stuck together throughout the whole process. Since June, since we've been here in the summer, we've all had our ups and downs personally and as a team, and to kind of get through what we went through and do it all together as one was very special, and we all know that we want to get back to this moment and to this stage and make it even further. So we'll know we know what we expect from ourselves, so we'll be right back.
What we can take, just how hard we worked, how much perseverance we went through. And, when we get back, it starts then, preparing for that first game, actually that first practice in the summer or first practice in the spring, just preparing for those big moments and those little moments.
In the middle, left side.
Steve Hallstrom, WZFG Radio, to Tyson and Vinny. Can you talk about the opening stretch? You led most of the first half. You got out to a 12-5 lead. What was the feeling like when you were executing and scoring and taking a lead against Duke here in this scenario?
It was just playing basketball. 40 minutes were up, and we came out, teed up, ready to play. And, you know, when we play with a whole bunch of excitement, we're a tough team to beat.
I feel really good. You know, I think we were getting some stops on the defensive end, and we were scoring on offense, and so it wasn't allowing them to get out in transition as well as they usually do. But it definitely feels good, you know, to have a lead. Only down 4 going into halftime. Some things we had to clean up coming out of the second half, turning the ball over a little bit, but it feels really good.
In the back.
Kerry Miller, Bleacher Report. For any of you, did playing against Mike Dahm multiple times during the season help you prepare for Zion? And who on your scout team had the impossible task of trying to emulate his play this week?
Start with Tyson and then come towards me.
I think they're 2 totally different players. Mike Dahm, you know, he's a great player himself, and Zion Williamson's a great player himself, but you can't really compare those two. I think that, you know, you just come out and play basketball at the end of the day.
I would say the same thing. They're both really great players, and play against both of them was nice to see him play against them and stuff like that. But I think they're 2 totally different players. And in practice, we just kind of challenge each other on both ends, whether you're on the scout team or in the rotation guys. So with the scout team playing as Mike Dahm, we didn't really get that much time to go over Duke as the scout. But just pushing each other in practice was huge, and preparing was a big stage for us.
They couldn't have said it any better.
Last question for the student athletes on the front right.
Tyson, you guys struggled in the first half and most of the second half shooting 3-pointers, and that's usually your bread and butter is to make 3-pointers. What were they doing to make it so tough on you?
They just weren't falling. I mean, you know, sometimes you get a little bothered by their length and athleticism, but, you know, you just got to prepare for that and, you know, shoot your shot. You know, you can't be overthinking sometimes. I think that's what kind of happened a little bit. You know, overthinking really might have affected our shot a little bit.
Thank you, gentlemen. Congrats on a good season.
Thank you very much.
Questions now for Coach David Richman. We'll start here on the left.
David, Jeffrey Collins with the Associated Press. I mean, what do you do in that second half starts and you can tell that the whole thing is just about to slide down? Is there anything that you can do, or you just kind of go, we gave it our best shot?
No, that's not what we're about, not just throwing out our best shot. But, I mean, obviously, you know, it's Duke, the #1 seed. We knew it was coming, and it's just really tough when they're so well coached, the length and athleticism. When you get them out in transition, where we talked about it to our guys last couple of days, they're elite, and it's hard to get it stopped when that gets going.
In the back right corner.
Hey, David, Jonathan Jones, Sports Illustrated. On preparing for a guy like Zion, because you don't see a guy like him ever, because you can't, you know, practice.
Is there any guys like him besides
right,
him?
Exactly, right. And you're not in the ACC where you see him twice a year and whatnot. All of those things considered, you have 2 days to prepare for him. How do you prepare for him? Because it seems like whatever you guys did in the first half was as effective as you could have been in the first half.
Yeah, I think it's just real important. We talk about it where you just got to be solid. You got to be disciplined. You got to make him earn it. And, he hit a 3, you know, something that he hasn't done necessarily at a high level this year. But early in the second half, he got that offensive rebound off the free throw. It's things like that breathe life into a guy that maybe, quote unquote, for his circumstances, might have been struggling a little bit, and just got his energy going. And you know, I mean, there's a reason why they're talking about him being the #1 pick overall. I mean, he's a special talent.
Coach on the left.
Coach, whirlwind of a week for you guys, winning in Dayton, late night flight here to Columbia. What does it say about your team that they came out and competed and fought the way they did?
Yeah, and I think when I asked at selection show for people to help tell our story, I think it's something that I've known, our staff's known, our guys have known. This is a terrific group. Being a student athlete is extremely tough. I mean, it's a lifestyle. You give up a lot of things. You got a head coach that's on your tail all the time, asking you to be better, and probably not in this voice all the time. And these kids, they just keep showing up. They've done tremendous work in the classroom. They're doing tremendous work in the community, and just extremely proud to be the leader of these guys.
Front right.
Yeah, Dave, Jones against Vinny. What do you know about their history together, and what was it like watching them battle out today?
Yeah, you know, we were just talking in the holding room here back, like Jordan played AAU with them, and those guys are all really tight. There's, when Vinny Shaheed is like a Pied Piper in the Twin Cities, everybody knows Vinny. Same with Jordan. They're at every open gym. And so whether we play somebody from Omaha or somebody from Denver, from the Twin Cities. Everybody knows those two guys, and so it's a cool experience for them. And we want to wish Trey, all the best too. His mom's battling some cancer, we understand, and so want to wish Deb. I think she's got some North Dakota ties. All the best.
The left side.
Coach, to have a lead on the #1 overall seed and then to fight for 40 minutes against that team, what does that do for your guys that you bring back, every single guy on the roster next year? What does that do for their confidence moving forward?
I think that's just that. I think it breeds, a lot of confidence that on the biggest stage against the best, in the biggest tournament, and one of the greatest, and obviously I'm biased, but in the greatest sporting event there is, we competed. And what we've got to understand is we put up 40 minutes. We weren't able to do that. And by no means am I or we ever going to be about a moral victory. But there's extremely, I and we can be extremely proud of, again, a lot of things that we were able to do.
In the aisle, in the middle.
Dave, how did you position this game with your team going in? Did you say, guys, we're going to go in and we're going to win the game? We're going to play our best and see what happens? How did you approach the game, I guess, philosophically with your team as you started talking to them about it once you knew you were going to play them after Wednesday's game?
Yeah, Steve, we talked about 3 things. Do the necessary, do the possible, and you will achieve the impossible. And when you tie in the necessary and the possible, and it wasn't necessarily that we thought it was impossible, it was everybody else thought it was impossible. And I get it. I get the percentages, I get the rankings, all those things. But it's just a weird feeling being around our group, and you could see it. You saw it Wednesday night. You saw it in the tournament, the poise and the confidence they played with down the stretch. You just never felt like you were going to get beat until they really got going and things got out of hand in the second half.
Last question for Coach here on the front right.
I think you shot about 13% on three-pointers in the first half, which is not your norm. Did you almost feel like you could have had a lead at halftime if you would have made some more threes? You're only down 4, I think, at halftime.
Yeah, but that's Duke. I mean, there's the length and athleticism is something that we don't see, and you have to experience those things, and you get sped up. And I know I give Tyson a lot of credit, in his answer to it, but they have the ability with their length and athleticism to speed you up, and that's what happened here this evening.